There are a whole lot of things you think you can't do or shouldn't do that at one time in your wily path of least resistance life that you're living was probably the best idea at the time. But every day, humans, we love you so much, you pick up one more thing that you shouldn't do and add it to the burdensome list of things that you're going to avoid doing. And in the process, we love you so much, your lives get narrower and narrower and narrower and narrower as you back yourself into a really lonely, not very fun corner where it's like you're teaching yourself that there's danger and bad stuff out there, and so don't go out there. While your inner being is saying, get out there, get out there. Your inner being isn't saying, get out there and do everything you ever thought you didn't want to do. That's not what we're saying. But can't you tell the difference between when you want something and when you don't? If you want to have the satisfaction of having some good tasting food, and you also want the satisfaction of a good feeling body, don't you think that your inner being, infinite intelligence, the energy that creates worlds, has the wherewithal to communicate that to your inner being, to the cells of your body, in a way that they can work it out for you? Do you not trust that? Most don't, but you can. You can come to trust that. Esther took baby steps. Got it? So now we want to say something really strong. We've been saying this to you for a long time. Words don't teach. Strange, we offer so many. But life experience does, which is the same thing as saying, first there's a thought, first there's a vibration. And as you get comfortable with it, then it becomes a thought. The vibration turns to a thought. You stick there longer, the thought turns to a belief, a stronger thought. Longer still to an expectation, stronger thought, and then to manifestations like emotions and conversations and things turning up in your life. Words don't teach, but the evolution of thought does. In other words, once something manifests, kind of know it. In other words, Esther wanted to know that about letting go of her gluten sensitivity. She wanted to believe it. But eating the ice cream cone sure went a long way to help her. And then the second one, and then the fish fillet, then the graham crackers and milk before bed. So this is how it goes. There is so much happening on your behalf in what Esther is calling the underground because of our description of the seed under the soil where you can't see it. And yet your knowledge that the seed is germinating, it is in a state of becoming. A whole lot happens with that seed before you see any evidence of it. And so there's a whole lot happening with all of your seeds of desire before you see any evidence of it. And the same attention and life force and infinite focus and source energy that creates worlds that's happening in the seed in the ground is happening in your vibrational seeds of your desire. It's the same attention from the same source energy. You can trust it. Well, that's easier said than done. You feel a lot better when your crop shows up. You feel even better when it starts producing food. But the more you do that, the more you become a truster of that process. And we want you to become a truster of the process. But how are you going to trust it if you never plant a seed on purpose? If you never do it on purpose and then watch it expand, how are you going to know? If you don't do something different and use your comfort knob to stay in vibrational alignment with your desires, you don't know if you've overcome a former resistance to something that was unnecessary. You did not come to deprive yourself of wanted. You came to select wanted things and to prefer them and to focus upon them. And so we're not ever encouraging you to do something that feels uncomfortable. Don't make yourself do uncomfortable things. That's the worst thing that you can do. Then for sure it's going to give you what you expect. But when you trust the process a little more than you did before, and then you find a good feeling thought, and you enjoy the ice cream cone more than you feel guilt about it. You choose the pleasure of it, not the guilt of it. You choose to honor yourself rather than beat yourself up for doing something dumb. You adjust your comfort knob first, and then you see what the positive results are of you calibrating first and then, calibrating first and then, calibrating first and then. It's not long before you not only trust yourself, you feel invincible. We've been asking you a very strong question lately. Somebody will say, oh, I got this great idea. Oh, I just got the best idea. And we say, where do you think that great idea came from? Because obviously you feel great about it the way you're Where do you think it came from? It came from your vortex. It came from your inner being's vibrational suggestion to you, which you translated. Where do you think the idea came from? From your vortex. That vibrational reality that you've set into motion. Bigger, more important question is, why did you get the idea? Why did you receive the idea? Because you were in the receiving mode. How do you know you were in the receiving mode? You were in a good mood. Mood, attitude, and comfort knob are all the same thing. You're in a bad mood, your comfort knob, that's where it is. You're in a good mood, your comfort knob, that's where it is. Esther had been working on the book, and it was a section. We've added a whole string of other words that are emotional words that fit in among the 22 categories that we've already defined, but it's just more words. And then we were writing a section of the book where we were indicating, if this is where you're at on the emotional scale, if that's your mood, these are 5 things you're probably saying pretty regularly. And if you're here, these are 5 things that you're probably saying regularly. And as Esther read back, she thought, oh my, there are quite a few things. Like, are you kidding me? Yeah, that's down there with doubt. Are you kidding me? You've got to be kidding me. Anger. There they all were. And so Esther was shocked at how many telling phrases. We got a lot of them from her and you. And so she was just really enjoying this new section of the new book. So now she's sitting at the airport in Atlanta, in the D terminal. She hadn't been there before. And in the gate, there were seats that were back to back. So she was sitting, and she'd been proofreading the book. It's due in a few days to the publisher. So she was proofreading it. And behind her, she could hear voices. There was one person saying everything on the lower half of the scale. No, I'm not going to do that. It's your fault. Well, I told you so. Nobody listens to me. Well, no, I'm not going to do that. And there was another voice, turned out to be her mother. They were as a family flying together. 3 generations, it seems. She couldn't see them. She could just hear them. And then Mother tried to offer reasonable suggestions because she was really trying to make it better. And Esther's thinking, don't waste your time, Mom. She was thinking, you can't get there from here. And then she's thinking, Esther, I'm going to have to stop you right there. In other words, just stay out of this. Just stay out of this. But when Esther stood up to put her things away, she could not help but turn to identify the voices with the people. And then, because her flight was delayed out of San Diego, she missed her connection in Atlanta. So this was a new flight that had been assigned to her. So instead of being in her seat up front in the airplane, she was at row 23. And they were all at row 22, right there. And Esther thought, this law of attraction thing sucks. It is so powerful. This law of attraction thing sucks. She only means that when she doesn't feel good. And then she thought, wait a minute, I'm going to have to stop you right there. Come, this is her new game. Esther, I'm going to have to stop you right there. And this is her comfort knob. This is the emotional. So she thought, all right, was I interested or disinterested in what I heard? Oh, it was so interesting. Was it helpful or not helpful to what I'm understanding? Oh, so helpful. Did any of it get off on me? No. Are any of them doing anything wrong? No. Are they representative of much of the world? Yes. Is it something that we're all trying to figure out? Yes. Does this mean that any of them are not nice people? They're all nice people. Esther thought, what a wonderful opportunity for me to witness someone in complete state of resistance, everybody else trying to alter her experience and getting nowhere, because you just can't buck the current of someone that's got strong momentum. And Esther thought, oh, I'm going to give that up. I've tried to explain my last thing to somebody who's not in a place of asking or not in a place of hearing. If they can't hear it, that doesn't mean something's gone wrong. It just means it's not a match right now. It just means it's not a match. And so Esther came away from that experience more sure than ever before, and we can feel it happening to you too. You just want to be a match to things that feel good. You just want to be a match to feeling good. And you just want to find thoughts that feel good. So you practice those thoughts that feel good so that you got this steady point of attraction that feels good, so that the law of attraction can match you up more steadily with the things that feel good, so that you can manifest more things that feel good. Because words don't teach, it's only life experience that teaches. But if you are manifesting without doing it on purpose, then you're still sort of scattered all over the place. But if you have intended to improve the way you feel, and you've succeeded at improving the way you feel, and then you've noticed the results of feeling better about that, then you've got it. And then the thing that you weren't trusting, you can now trust. Because you trust the law of attraction, and you trust your inner being, and you trust source energy, and you trust Abraham, and now you've practiced it, you trust yourself to know where you're at, and even more important, you trust yourself to dial yourself into allowing more of what you want, yeah?
Yeah.
This is a Rita Day. Esther was on an airplane, and she was up in row 2. So she could hear the flight attendants talking. 2 men, one she could tell was like a leader, the other that she could hear was learning. And the man who was learning was complaining that whoever he had worked with before wasn't very helpful to him. She just wouldn't show me, he was complaining. That's about as much as Esther heard him say. And then she heard the other man say, I'm going to have to stop you right there. And Esther just got goosey bumps all over her body. She thought, ooh, I'm in on something really important. Important for me. She couldn't see them, she was only hearing. And then she had the thought, that may not go well. Nobody likes to be shut down. But the other man stopped right there. And then as the flight was a long flight, Esther heard quite a bit of them over the next few hours. There was no evidence of any discomfort between them from that moment forward. And the leader said, I'm going to have to stop you right there because I may work with this person. He didn't want any of that in his mix. He didn't want his expectation to be trained by somebody else. And Esther thought, oh, I can use this. So all that day, more times than Esther really is comfortable admitting, Esther was having a thought or a response to something, and she would think, Esther, I'm going to have to stop you right there. Esther, I'm going to have to stop you right there. Because she could tell that she was just whimsically, lazily just going along with something not wanted, like the noise next door. I'm gonna have to stop you right there. Why in the world will you use this to adjust your knob into discomfort, which means adjust your point of attraction into unwanted or into blocking or into resistance? And then just to bring this message home in a really strong way, do you know why you ever feel discomfort or negative emotion? It's because your perspective or opinion on something is so different from your inner being's that you've caused a separation, is too strong a word, but a pretty good distance between what your inner being knows about this and what you think you know about this. And so when you realize that your gap is the only thing that you ever need to tend to, what's the gap? The gap between who your inner being is right here, right now, based upon what matters to you right here, right now. Your inner being will never sacrifice its alignment with source to soothe you in your disconnected moment, ever. Esther begged us, still does occasionally, hey Ram, please come over here with me. I can't come to you. I can't get there. Save me. You got to come over here and breathe life into me. And we know that if she wants life breathed into her, she can make her way back to where the oxygen is. We know she's not going to die from lack of oxygen, from lack of source energy. And she knows it too. And she's had enough experience with us and with Jerry. Jerry won't join her in a negative conversation. He would barely do that when he was in his physical body. He's sure not going to do it now. She can remember. She'd say, I need to talk to you about something. And he'd say, I'll be back in a little while. He put those things off as long as possible. Usually she was over it by the time he showed up again. Helpful?
Thank you.